Imagine Africa, 12,000 years ago. The last ice age is ending, and the world is changing. But what if the change wasn't slow and gradual? What if it was sudden, violent, and world-altering? This isn't a story about a storm or a tsunami. This is the story of a continental-scale megaflood, a cataclysm that may have erased an entire chapter of human history. Some researchers believe a wall of water, unleashed by melting ice sheets, collapsing lakes, and maybe something even more dramatic, surged across the continent. In a matter of days, it carved new valleys, rerouted mighty rivers, and forever changed the face of Africa. Today we look at the Sahara Desert and see an endless sea of sand, one of the driest places on Earth. But what if I told you this desert holds the secret of a world that once drowned? Beneath the sand, scientists have found clues that defy our modern understanding of the Sahara. Satellite imagery reveals the ghosts of ancient river systems, some wider than the Nile. There are vast, buried deltas where these rivers once met ancient seas. Geologists have discovered fossilized lakebeds the size of small countries and megalithic rocks, weighing hundreds of tons, smoothed and polished by powerful flowing water. But perhaps the most baffling discovery of all is the skeletons of whales found hundreds of kilometers inland. How did the bones of massive ocean creatures end up in the middle of a desert? These aren't isolated incidents. This evidence points to a single, inescapable conclusion. This arid wasteland was once wet, very, very wet. For thousands of years, the region we now call the Sahara was a paradise. It wasn't a desert, but a vibrant, living landscape known as the Green Sahara. Picture vast grasslands stretching to the horizon, dotted with enormous lakes, some as large as inland seas. This lush world was teeming with life. Herds of elephants, giraffes, and hippos roamed freely, and humans thrived here. We've found their art, their tools, and the remnants of their settlements scattered across the desert. Archaeological evidence shows a sophisticated culture living beside these massive lakes and rivers. They hunted, they fished, and they built communities in a land that was more fertile than almost anywhere on Earth today. Then, in a geological blink of an eye, it all vanished. The lakes dried up, the rivers stopped flowing, and the green grasslands turned to sand. The conventional theory is that this was caused by a gradual shift in Earth's climate over thousands of years. But what if it wasn't gradual at all? What if a single violent event triggered this dramatic transformation? One of the most mind-bending theories proposed by some geologists involves a natural dam of epic proportions. They suggest that a massive rock barrier, perhaps over 1,000 kilometers long, once stretched across North Africa. This dam held back an immense body of water, a lake so large it would dwarf any lake on Earth today. Then something caused the dam to fail. Imagine the force. The collapse would have unleashed a volume of water almost impossible to comprehend. This cataclysmic flood would have thundered across the continent, a liquid bulldozer carving out the landscape as we see it today. This theory could explain the formation of the huge basins that dot the Sahara, the creation of the Tamanrasset River system, a fossil river network visible from space, and the deep, dramatic canyons that slice through the terrain. If this theory is true, this wasn't just a big flood. It was one of the largest floods in our planet's history, a true but a collapsing dam isn't the only suspect. Around the same time, roughly 12,800 years ago, something else happened. The Earth was bombarded by fragments from a disintegrating comet or asteroid. We have evidence of this event across the globe, and Africa was not spared. Craters like Aarunga and Tenema in the Sahara are silent witnesses to ancient cosmic impacts. Geologists have also found vast fields of desert glass, formed when the intense heat of an impact flash melted the sand. So what if these events are connected? Could a meteor impact, or a series of airbursts over the North American ice sheet, have been the trigger? An impact could have destabilized the massive ice sheets, causing them to melt at an unprecedented rate. This sudden influx of meltwater could have overwhelmed natural dams and ancient lakes, setting off a chain reaction of floods that cascaded across continents, including Africa. The cosmic impact theory provides a powerful, external trigger for the kind of catastrophe needed to explain the evidence we see. This brings us to the most haunting question of all. What was the human cost? If a thriving civilization, or even multiple civilizations, existed in the lush green Sahara before the flood, what happened to them? Such an event would not have just displaced them, it would have utterly erased them. Their cities, their monuments, their entire world would have been buried under water and mud in a matter of days or weeks. This catastrophic theory might explain some of archaeology's most enduring mysteries. We find abandoned stone settlements in the middle of nowhere, with no clue as to why their inhabitants suddenly left. We see evidence of cultures that abruptly vanish from the archaeological record. Could these be the silent remnants of a lost world? Across Africa, and indeed the world, we find ancient myths and legends of a great flood, of gods who cleansed the earth with water, and of cities swallowed by the waves. The story of Atlantis, a powerful island civilization that vanished into the sea in a single day and night of misfortune, is the most famous of these. For centuries, people have looked for it in the Mediterranean or the Atlantic. But what if the story is a distorted memory, an echo of a real event that happened not in the ocean, But in the heart of what is now the Sahara Desert, did humanity suffer a global amnesia, forgetting a foundational chapter of its own story? When you look at Africa's landscape from space, you can see the scars. These are not the gentle marks of slow erosion over millions of years. These are features born of violence. Mega canyons that look like they were carved in a week, not an eon. Evidence of entire river systems that were suddenly and violently rerouted. Massive inland basins that could only have been formed by a standing body of water that appeared and then disappeared. These geological wounds suggest a continent that was reshaped almost overnight. This was a cataclysm, so what truly happened 12,000 years ago? The evidence of a great catastrophe is written into the very rock of the African continent. But the ultimate cause remains one of our planet's greatest unsolved mysteries. Was it the slow melt of the Ice Age reaching a sudden tipping point? Was it the catastrophic failure of an ancient continent-spanning lake? Was it triggered by the fiery impact of a comet from outer space? Or was it a combination of all of these, a perfect storm of geological and cosmic terror? The only thing we know for certain is that a flood of unimaginable scale reshaped Africa, turning a paradise into a desert and perhaps erasing a civilization from history. Humanity has almost completely forgotten it. It makes you wonder, what other secrets are buried beneath the sands, waiting to be rediscovered? Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If you find these ancient mysteries as fascinating as we do, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the unknown. And let us know in the comments, what do you think caused the Great African Flood?